The applicant in this case, Judith Turner Davis, has not logged on, and I assume she is not here in the hearing room. So we will give her a few more minutes to see if she logs in.
Commissioner Holzman's here.
Information is that she is trying to log in and is having problems, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Is this
Yes,
Judith Turner
I won't
Davis?
be on the web. I'll just be on the my phone.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Ms. Turner Davis,
I'm
this,
here.
this is Judge Supplier.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, is the court reporter ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, thank you. Then let's bring this proceeding to order and go on the record. Good morning. Today is January 4th, 2024. The time is 11:03 a.m., and the Commission has set this time for an evidentiary hearing in the case captioned as in the matter of the application of Judith Turner Davis for change of electric supplier to Platte-Clay Electrical Cooperative from Evergy, Missouri West, Incorporated, doing business as Evergy, Missouri West. It's the Commission file number EO-2024-0035. My name is Ken Sire, and I am the regulatory law judge presiding over this hearing. The hearing is taking place in the Public Service Commission hearing room, room 310 of the Governor Office Building in Jefferson City, Missouri. However, parties and witnesses will also be participating over the internet via Cisco WebEx. First, let's have counsel for the parties make their entries of appearance, starting with staff.
Ron Irving, staff.
All right. For Evergy, Missouri West.
My name is Roger Steiner. I'm an attorney for Evergy, Missouri West, and my contact information has been given to the court reporter.
Okay. And for Platte-Clay Electrical Co-op.
Megan McCord. I'm Platte-Clay's attorney, and I'll enter my information for the court reporter now.
All right. And Ms. Turner Davis, you're still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. And just for the sake of the record for the court reporter, could you spell your last name? Well, spell your first and last name for us.
It's Judith, Judith, Turner, Turner hyphen, Davis, Davis.
All right, thank you. For those in the hearing room, I ask everyone to silence all cell phones and mobile devices. For those connected via WebEx, I ask that you mute your microphone when not speaking. For those in the hearing room, there are, if you're at the witness stand or at the council tables, there are microphones that will help us immensely in picking up your testimony or your speaking. So if you will use those, I would appreciate that. Ms. Turner Davis, you're not represented by an attorney today, correct? Ms. Ms. Turner Davis, you will have to unmute to answer my question. I'm sorry, what is it? Star six. It may, Ms. Turner Davis, it may be *6 that you have to punch to unmute and mute.
I know, I do it, and it doesn't seem to want
All
to,
right.
but can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. All right.
Okay. And
So-
no, I am not represented by an attorney.
Okay. That is perfectly acceptable and not uncommon in cases such as yours. And so please don't be overly concerned about following our hearing procedures perfectly today. Where I can, I will try to assist you today. First of all,
Okay.
each party will be given the opportunity to make an opening statement. You do not have to give an opening statement, but an opening statement is generally an opportunity for a party in the case to give the commissioners and me a preview or summary of what you expect the hearing evidence to be and why that evidence will support your change of electric service supplier request. Keep in mind, however, you're not sworn in before you give your opening statement. You're not under oath and subject to cross-examination by the other parties. In other words, an opening statement by itself cannot substitute for testimony under oath and other admitted evidence. The commissioners cannot base their decision purely on opening statements. You must still present evidence following opening statements for the commissioners' consideration. Does that make sense, Ms. Turner Davis?
Yes, it does.
Yes. In other words, you can't present your case in your opening statement in place of sworn testimony by you or other witnesses or other evidence you may wish to present today.
I understand.
Okay. As the applicant requesting a change of electric service supplier, you have the burden of proof. Therefore, you will present your evidence first. You may call witnesses to testify, including yourself, and offer documents or other items to be admitted into evidence. Counsel for the other parties may object to the admission of your documents or your witness's testimony. If that occurs, you will be given the opportunity to respond to the objections. I will then make a ruling on whether the witness testimony or document will be admitted into evidence. After you are through questioning your witnesses or testifying yourself, the other parties will be allowed to cross-examine you or your witnesses and/or your witnesses. In addition to questioning by the other parties, the commissioners and I are allowed to ask questions of all witnesses.
Okay.
Once you have presented your evidence, the other parties will be given the opportunity to present their evidence. They may call witnesses to testify, offer into evidence documents, make their witnesses available for cross-examination. In other words, you will have the opportunity to question the other party's witnesses.
I understand.
Okay. Are there any preliminary matters that the parties wish to address?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, missed any matters what?
That the parties wish to bring up before we continue?
No, Your Honor.
I don't.
Okay, thank you. As far as the order of witnesses, we will follow the order filed by the parties in their list and order of witnesses. Ms. Turner Davis will testify on behalf of herself, followed by Evergy, Missouri West witness Brent Gerling, followed by Platte-Clay Electric Cooperative witness Jared Walters, and then finally Broderick Niemeyer for the commission staff. All right, Ms. Turner Davis, would you like to give an opening statement?
It's going to be very brief because this whole thing, I stand by my original application that I had, I think the commission received on August the 7th of 2023. It's really, just a small operator. I'm sure you all have read. I can clarify anything if necessary on my application. I have no agenda. There's no dissatisfaction. When I filed it, it simply seemed like a logical request. Quite honestly, it didn't. This has gotten completely beyond me, quite honestly, because I'm sure you have my only any kind of evidence that I would present, you all would have, would be the maps of the area that I have described in my reason for my original application. Otherwise, no, I have nothing. I don't have witnesses. I won't have evidence. To me, it was very cut and dried, and I feel kind of bad that I've used up so much of your all's time on something that's to me was wasn't small to me, but in the overall scheme of things, it was a small request, perhaps. So I really, people can ask me anything they want. I don't have anything else I need to say.
All right, thank you, Ms. Turner Davis. Do the commissioners have any questions for Ms. Turner Davis? Chairman Root.
Good morning, Ms. Davis. My name is
Good
Scott.
morning.
My name is Scott. I'm a commissioner here. Do you?
Yes, Scott.
What is your belief on your cost to, if this were to be granted, that you would have to pay to have the change switched? What is your belief of that?
I know there will be an expense involved. I have no idea because I haven't talked to, if it were changed, it would be Platte-Clay, and without something concrete to give them, I have no idea. Do you have an idea?
Well, I wanted to see what your belief was heading into this and stuff. I'm sure we'll hear some information today, but I just didn't know what your level of belief was on if there was a cost to be incurred to you to make this switch for adding that, if you had any idea or had been told or given estimates of what that might be. But you're stating that you have not.
I've not asked. No, because I've not asked any questions, not knowing whether this was going to happen. I realize there'll be an expense, and that's not an issue unless it's exorbitant.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate your response.
Uh-huh.
All right. Do the other commissioners have any questions?
No questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right. All right. Mr. Steiner, would you like to give an opening statement on behalf of Evergy, Missouri West?
Just very brief. May it please the commission. I'm Roger Steiner. I represent Evergy, Missouri West. Company believes the commission should deny the request for change of supplier. The applicant doesn't allege any service issues. It's a request for convenience only. She owns another property, a rental property that's served by the co-op, and if that property is not leased, she has an inconvenience of paying 2 electric bills. And the company doesn't believe that this inconvenience is sufficient grounds for denying Evergy its statutory right under the statutes to continue serving a customer in its service territory where no allegation of service issues have been made. Thank you.
All right. Do any of the commissioners have questions for Mr. Steiner? All right. Hearing
Judge, I have
none.
a question real
Oh,
quick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's Commissioner Holzman. When we were looking at this the first time, it appeared that Evergy is opposed to losing the customer, but would Evergy be willing to receive the customer if it proved out that the cost wasn't exorbitant for them to switch?
Yes, Your Honor, we could serve the customer. I believe our line extension policy would cover that. I don't have an estimate of what that would be. I don't believe our witness, well, you can ask him. I don't think he has a complete estimate either, but yes, we would be willing to. But again, the way the statutes are set up, that once a provider, either a co-op or a investor-owned utility begins serving a customer, it has a right to continue to serve, except under certain, specific conditions, like a territorial agreement, or that there's allegations that safe and adequate service is not being provided. Then the current supplier can be ordered to lose the customer, as it were, and just that's not even alleged in this case. So we just don't think a convenience reason is a reason to switch customers.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Judge.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Well, and like I said, all along, there's nothing I've been very forthcoming. There's no dissatisfaction, but I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed in the wording of the convenience issue. I'm a longstanding customer, and I'm a customer at another location of Evergy with no plans to change. Doesn't my convenience, as they're a public entity, don't they care if it's inconvenient to me? It's not life-changing or anything else, but
Ms.
it
Turner
is
Davis.
inconvenient.
Ms. Turner Davis, I'm going to interrupt you there and ask you to save that for your testimony, and Mr. Steiner will have the opportunity to cross-examine you when you do testify.
Okay, fine.
All right. Okay, if there are no other questions from the commissioners, Ms. McCord, would you like to make an opening statement on behalf of the electric co-op?
Yes, Your Honor, just a brief one. Platte-Clay is always, glad to accept new members such as Ms. Turner Davis. However, in this case, we are in agreement with Evergy on what the law is regarding that. We understand that the commission has a public service interest determination to make. And so with that, that's all I have for now.
All right. Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions? All right. Hearing none. Mr. Irving, would you like to make an opening statement on behalf of the staff of the commission?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Turner Davis, could I have you go ahead and mute?
Okay. May it please the commission. We come to you today to discuss Ms. Turner Davis's application for change of supplier, of electrical supplier. Section 393.106.2 establishes that an electrical corporation lawfully commences supplying retail electric energy to a structure through permanent service facilities. Said corporation shall have the right to continue serving such structure. And other suppliers of electrical energy shall not have the right. The section goes on to state that the commission may order a change of suppliers on the basis that it is in the public interest for a reason other than a rate differential. Customers are not able to change their electric suppliers to find the lowest rates, but the commission can order a change for other reasons. In case number EO 2017-0277, the Brendan Jessup change of electric supplier case, this commission established 10 factors that are in the public interest for a change of supplier. These factors include whether the customer's needs cannot adequately be met by the present supplier with respect to either the amount or quality of power, whether there are health or safety issues involving the amount or quality of power, what alternatives a customer has considered, including alternatives with the present supplier, whether the customer's equipment has been damaged or destroyed as a result of a problem with the electric supply, the effect the loss of the customer would have on the present supplier, whether the change in supplier would result in a duplication of facilities, the overall burden on the customer caused by the inadequate service, what efforts have been made by the present supplier to solve or mitigate the problem, the impact the commission's decision may have on economic development on an individual or cumulative basis, and finally, the effect the granting of authority for a change of suppliers might have on any territorial agreements between the two suppliers in question. In Ms. Turner Davis' application, she indicated that she was not dissatisfied with the service Evergy is currently providing. Ms. Turner Davis has 2 premises on the same property, and understandably, she wants to pay one utility, just to make it a little bit more convenient. However, the desire to pay one bill is not included in the factors that this commission has established in the Brendan Jessup case and is not in the public interest. Staff witness Broderick Niemeyer is available for cross-examination and to answer questions the commission may have. Thank you for your time, and I'm available to answer your questions at this point.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? All right. Thank you, Mr. Irving.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Turner Davis.
Yes,
All right. You are scheduled as the first witness to testify, so are you ready to testify?
I am.
All right. I know I can't see you, but generally I ask witnesses to raise their right hand, and I'll place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. And could you state and spell your name for the record?
Judith Turner Davis. Judith Turner, Turner hyphen Davis, Davis.
And are you the same Judith Turner Davis who filed an application for change of electric service provider on August 7th, 2023? Actually, it was filed August 7th. I believe you signed it August 2nd. But anyway, that application, that is the subject of this evidentiary hearing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And that application, that is a total of, I believe, three pages long. Would you like that to be admitted as an exhibit on your behalf?
Yes, please.
All right. Then I will mark that as Exhibit 1 and ask the parties, are there any objections to the admission of Exhibit 1 into evidence?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, I can't remember if it was marked confidential or not, but it's up to the applicant if it's public.
It was not marked confidential.
Okay.
All right. And that was Mr. Steiner, for the sake of the
It was.
record. All right, then Exhibit 1 will be admitted into evidence. Now, Ms. Turner-Davis, in addition to the information that's in that application, I'd like you to go ahead and testify as to any further information you'd like to, for the commissioners to consider, given that you have the burden of proof to support your case.
This is really strange to me, and I'll tell you. When I did this and talk about a babe in the woods, I had no idea what this was going to entail. I thought it was a simple, logical request to change the energy from Evergy to Platte-Clay because the rest of the property was it's surrounded by Platte-Clay, basically. It seemed like it'd be easier for everyone. It seemed like it would be easier for me. This has been eye-opening. I know it was mentioned earlier that in the public interest, I find it hard to imagine my private property that's a small, just a blip on anybody, on Evergy, on Platte-Clay. When public interest was mentioned, to me that's very unusual. I'm kind of, it's not necessarily that I'm put out by it, it's just, I had no clue. I quite honestly, this has been a huge education for me because it just seemed logical. I wasn't trying to complain about Evergy. I'm not happy with some of Evergy's new policies, honestly, but that was not anywhere in, you are getting the truth, and I didn't do it on any kind of agenda. This was strictly something for my personal, it would make everything easier, make it easier for my family in the future. It's a 5-generational century farm, and I'm not getting any younger, and I was trying to make it simpler for my daughter when it's her turn to take care of it. And I'm rambling. I'm just so shocked. I'm shocked that this has turned into, I feel like I'm wasting everyone's time. Had I known that this was going to be the procedure for an 80-acre property, I probably would have never done it. But I've done it, and I'll see it through at this point. So,
All right.
I don't know. I feel like the one thing, I think I had the wrong idea about the commission, because I thought the commission would be more on the side of an individual, or I don't have a big property or anything that's going to break Evergy if they don't have me. And I think I thought that the commission would be more on the side of not necessarily the little guy, but the individuals that have an issue. And maybe that's been the most eye-opening thing for me. So I don't mean to seem rude, and I don't mean to seem the least bit. I'm not angry, I'm frustrated. That's the best way for me to put it. So you all do what you need to do from here. I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Turner-Davis. Before I give the other parties the opportunity to cross-examine you, ask you questions, in your application, you refer to the house on Lober Road as the main house, and the house that's currently, and that is currently served by Evergy Missouri West, and the rental house a half mile to the south is served by Platte-Clay Electrical Cooperative. So if we refer to the main house being the Lober Road house and the rental house, is that okay? Is that something, you'll know what we're talking about?
Yes, they're both on Lower Road. You can see one.
Oh, I see.
They're maybe a quarter of a mile apart. They're both on Lower Road, but yes, I understand what you're saying. The main house is where I grew up.
Okay. Okay. Then, Mr. Steiner, do you have any questions for Ms. Turner Davis for Evergy Missouri West?
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. McCord, any on behalf of the Electric Co-op?
No questions, Your Honor.
And Mr. Irving?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Do any of the commissioners have questions?
Judge, I do have a question, Commissioner Holzman.
All right.
Thank you for being here today. I understand and hear your frustration, and I can appreciate your position that something that seems to be so simple shouldn't have caused a big hubbub like this, but the statute reads the way it reads, and this is something that we're working through as a commission for your complaint. So I don't want you to think that anything has been predetermined, but we are gathering information to try to make a decision regarding your case. Does that make sense?
If you're asking me, yes. I feel like
Yes.
I'm not getting support, but that's I'm not aware.
Let me ask you a couple questions, okay?
Sure.
When you started this out, did you have any financial considerations? Did you do any analysis of if there was going to be a cost savings to you to make the switch, or if the rates were going to change if you made the switch? Did you do any preliminarily studying of the issue before you made the request?
I did not, because I truly don't think there'll be that much difference. That was not anywhere near my reasoning. We are financially able to do what needs to be done if Platte-Clay were awarded this. But no, I did not, because I didn't see the point before I knew what the decision was going to be. And quite frankly, I figure that between the two companies, there's not going to be that much difference. We also have a place that has Saco Sage down by Warsaw. So it's not like I'm not aware of what other companies charge. Because we have, like I said, the Saco Sage, we have our Evergy here, and then, because we have several properties. And so, no, it's a long answer for a short question, and I apologize for that, but no, I did not do any studies.
That's okay. When we talk about public interest, we're talking about weighing the cost benefit to you as an individual, even though this is your private property, with the rest of the ratepayers. The rest of the ratepayers have a responsibility and a participation in the energy system as a macro unit at large. And so if this change were to be made, one of the questions we're going to ask the companies is what impact would be had on the rest of the ratepayers? Are the rest of the ratepayers going to have any discernible difference in their rates because of the change to you? And the answer may be yes, and it may be no. We won't know until we get that answer. But when I don't want you to think that you are not a part of the public interest, because we're here to hear your case, because we do have interest in you as a ratepayer. We just have other ratepayers as well that we're trying to make sure are held harmless if this change were to go through for you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, but we're talking about a property that there's a house, and there is electric to a barn. I can't imagine the amount, and I don't know because I'm not having to pay it at the moment because I have people in there, but I can't imagine my one little property is would change the rate structure in any way for any other ratepayers. That doesn't compute to me.
And part of this is also what costs would be associated with this change in terms of the physical assets that are going to be required to make this change. And as the chairman asked you earlier, are you aware that those changes may be at your expense? And you said that wasn't a problem as long as it wasn't exorbitant. Now, we don't know what that change expense would be at this point, so we don't know what exorbitant to you would mean. And if it was tens of thousands of dollars, then the convenience may not be worth, the expense. If it's hundreds of dollars, then maybe it is, and we don't know the answer until we get the answer on what the expense would be to make that change. So, that part of it is still an unknown that we're trying to get the answers to.
I understand that. As far as I went, you asked if I did. I do know there are one of the Platte-Clay houses is our personal house or our rental house, which, like I said, is a quarter mile away. The other is our neighbor's house. It's less than that. It's almost a stone's throw, and they're Platte-Clay. My assumption, and I know absolutely nothing about it, and this may sound really dumb to you all, would be that it could be hooked in from one of the two places. Now, I could be wrong. I don't think it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars, or you wouldn't have even gotten this application from me. I have no doubt it will be a fair sum, and that's why I didn't educate myself on it, because I thought if it isn't allowed and you won't make the change for me, then it's kind of a moot point because I don't need to know, quite honestly.
Okay. Well, the last thing I will say to you is that I want you to understand that we're here for you because you are the public interest, and that struck a chord with me when you were asking, what's in the public interest, because it needs to be the right decision. But we are listening to you and hearing what you're saying just as much as we are the companies, and I want you to understand that.
I respect that. But I tell you, the way it was put, and I'm not sure who did it. When you talk about the public interest, it offended me to some degree, because yes, I am. I'm one of the many that you would classify in the public interest, and you all have been very respectful in the time you've taken for this, but I don't feel that my request makes that much difference to anybody but me, quite honestly.
I understand.
And
Thank you for answering my questions. I promise you that we will make a decision that is based on the evidence and the facts, and that's the best we can do for you. And I promise you we are listening to what you have to say.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Judge. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Hahn, you have questions?
Thank you, Judge. Just one brief question. You mentioned your property is a century farm. Is it a Missouri Century Farm sanctioned by University of Missouri Extension?
I have no idea. Yes, it is, because I take that back. When I got the information and I got a sign that states it's a Missouri Century Farm, all the everything I got came from Extension. Yes, it did.
Thank you. Appreciate
yes.
it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions from the commissioners? All right. Hearing none. Ms. Turner-Davis, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
You kind of touched on it earlier, but you're requesting that both properties be served by Platte-Clay Electrical Cooperative. Why are you requesting that the co-op serve both properties versus Evergy serving both properties?
Logical. It's logical because everything surrounding the property, my property, is Platte-Clay. And it seems to me to make sense. Maybe I'm foolish to think that would seem logical to anybody but me, but I think if you look at the maps of what Platte-Clay serves, now there's one neighbor that's a little farther away, I believe it's Evergy, but to my knowledge, that's the only one. Everything else is Platte-Clay. It just seems like, even for an outage, and there's been outages and Evergy's taking care of it. That's never been my basis for any of this. If I have some things I'm not crazy about with perhaps Evergy, that's not the point. We have Evergy at our home place, and it's been fine. It's been better than it has been in the past. But back to your question, it's the convenience. They just seem logical. Quite honestly, that's the best word I can use, because if you look at the map of the service areas, our property is pretty much surrounded by Platte-Clay customers. So.
Okay, thank you. And you've touched on it, but you understand that there may be some cost to make that change, some cost to you to make that change. And
yes, I'm aware.
And I believe you've testified that you don't know what that cost is.
No, I don't. I have to believe that I know it's going to be a cost, and we're willing to absorb that. And I can't imagine with how close a few of the Platte-Clay, we're talking really close with the rental house or the house that we share a property line with that's Platte-Clay. Yes, there'll be a cost, and we're willing to pay that, unless it's some. And I can't imagine it's going to be some. We're not asking for Platte-Clay to come 5 miles to service this. If we were, we wouldn't have done this at all. It's the fact that we're surrounded by it, Platte-Clay, at that property. No, we're aware that there's going to be a cost involved. Of course there is. New lines, transformer, whatever.
Thank you. And I know you indicated that as long as the cost was not exorbitant, that you were willing to pay that. But is there a particular dollar amount that is kind of your cutoff point?
I would have no idea. I mean, you all are in the business. I'm not. If you give me a dollar amount, I could be more likely to tell you. I have no idea. We are capable of paying a reasonable amount, and we know it's not going to be $100. We know it's going to be more expensive than that. But I can't even begin to tell you because I don't have any. I don't know how would you bill it? I don't know if you bill it by the foot, by the mile, by the. Does that make sense to you? This
yes,
is out of my wheelhouse.
And we may have witnesses testify here today that will shed some light on those costs.
Okay.
All right. Are there, do any of the parties wish to recross the witness following the commissioner's questions and my questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have a question.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Steiner.
You mentioned that the rental property was currently leased to a tenant. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long has it been leased for?
I think this particular tenant's been in there 5 years, maybe.
Okay.
It's rented. It's a location out in the country, and you all probably know that people like the little places out in the country, and it very seldom stays empty for long, except for when we want to do work in between the renters.
Right. And so while it's rented, then the tenant pays the electric bill to Platte-Clay. Is that correct?
Correct. And then when a tenant moves out, then I notify Platte-Clay and they've got all my information, and I pay it until there is a new tenant.
Got it. That's all the questions I had, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Irving.
Thank you, Your Honor. You indicated earlier that the two premises were approximately a quarter mile away, but in your application, you indicated that it was actually a half mile away. I just want you to clarify the distance for those two premises.
I'm shocked that I would have said, because I said a half mile in my, I've got the original here, that it's a quarter mile. It's not, both of them are, the neighbor that we share a property line with is probably, it's not even a quarter mile probably. The rental house that is visible from the main house is no more than a quarter mile. If I put a half mile, then that's my error, because it's not that far. And anything I tell you all anyway, I know you surely have maps of your service areas that would show how close they are. I'm not going to try to change any distances for you all. I'm completely honest about it. And quarter mile on one and less than a quarter mile on the neighbor's house. So that's the best I can tell you.
I don't have any other questions.
All right. All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Turner Davis, then that would be all the questioning at this time. Thank you for your testimony. And we are ready for Evergy, Missouri West witness, Mr. Gerling.
Company called Brent Gerling.
All right, thank you, Mr. Steiner. Mr. Gerling, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. You might have to speak up a bit.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Steiner, go ahead with your questions.
Please state your name and business address.
My name is Brent Gerling. Address is, my work address is 8325 North Platte Purchase Drive, KCMO 64118.
Where are you employed and what do you do there?
Employed by Evergy, engineering and design supervisor for Evergy Northland.
Just briefly, what is your educational background and are you a licensed engineer in Missouri?
There's 2 bachelor's degrees and I'm a licensed professional engineer.
Have you read the application for a change of supplier in this case?
Yes.
To your knowledge, when did the company begin providing service to applicant?
I will show March 31st, 1987.
Can you tell me if the company has recently completed a project to improve service to the area where the applicant lives?
We have completed a number of projects and are continuing to complete projects to improve the assets of Evergy's assets in that area, yes.
What are some of those examples?
Through our program, pole replacement program, and our lateral improvement programs, We go out and assess the facilities in the field and determine those that are in need of updating or replacement. And then we create work requests to get those facilities changed out or updated as needed.
Your Honor, that's all the direct examination I have. I would tender this witness for cross-examination.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Turner Davis, do you have any questions for this witness?
No, I don't.
All right. Thank you. Ms. McCord, do you have any questions for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Irving for staff?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the witness?
Judge, I have a question. Commissioner Holzman.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Judge. Are you aware of any additional burdens that would be placed on the existing ratepayers of Evergy's territory if this change were made?
I'm not aware of any burdens. I'm not sure how to respond to the question.
Do you have, if Evergy were to take both of these meters into its service territory, are you aware of any costs that would be associated with consolidating both meters into the Evergy territory as opposed to in the co-op territory?
I think you're asking, can we serve the other property? Yes, we could serve the other property under our residential line extension program. I don't have any direct costs associated with that available.
Do you have any basis for a proximity of, if it's a quarter mile, how is it done by the foot? How is the cost arrived at for switch?
A residential line extension policy is defined, and I don't have it exactly in front of me, but we do allow up to a quarter mile of facility extension at no charge for permanent residential customers. So if that were the case, depending on the footage or the exact measurement or where the service would end up, if it was a quarter mile or less, there would be no cost to the customer.
Okay. Judge, that's all the questions I have at this moment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Gerling, for your testimony this morning. You said this property was served in 1987. That is probably the current customer. Do you have information of when Evergy or Missouri Public Service Company or whoever started the service at this address?
I'm not aware of the exact service date, as from our records show the 1987 date.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners? All right. Thank you. Mr. Gerling, I know you mentioned that if the extension were less than a quarter of a mile, that it would be at no charge to the customer if you were to extend your service to the what we call the main house currently being served. I'm sorry, to the rental house currently being served by the electric co-op. But if it were more than that, if it were a farther distance than that, is there a general policy as to the portion of that cost that the customer would be responsible for?
Yes, but our tariff language, the quarter mile rule, as it's quoted, says that the first eighth and last eighth of a line extension policy would be applied for a residential permanent service, new residential permanent service. So it's our understanding that any middle piece, feet of that line extension would be at cost to the customer.
And assuming there would be a cost to the customer, is there any mechanism by which she would be credited back for any of that amount over time?
Not to my knowledge. I guess I don't believe so. I think that's an upfront cost for permanent service extension.
And maybe you haven't looked into this, but if Evergy ceased to serve the property they're currently serving, how much utility plant would be effectively taken out of service?
We would have to look at that further. We've not looked at those numbers.
Okay. All right. Do any of the parties have follow-up questions after the commissioner's questions and my questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Irving, on behalf of the staff, go ahead.
Yes. Ms. Gurley, are you aware of the distance between the two properties? Do you know whether it's a half mile or a quarter of a mile?
I'm not aware of the exact distance between, or their discussion of a quarter mile by Mrs. Davis. Looking at a Google map, we could, or some form of mapping tool, we could do a line measurement, but the distance for us as electric service provider would be the distance of facility built where the service would be requested on the property.
Okay, thank you. Staff doesn't have any other questions at this point.
Thank you. Do any of the other parties have follow-up questions? All right, hearing none, Mr. Steiner, do you have any redirect?
I do not, Your Honor. And I would ask that Mr. Grilling be excused. He has some other commitments he needs to make today. With the commission's permission, I'd ask that he be excused.
All right. Before I do that, Mr. Steiner, can I ask you, are there any exhibits that you wish to offer into evidence?
No exhibits, Your Honor.
All right. Then, if there are no objections to excusing Mr. Gurling, then I will excuse Mr. Gurling, and I appreciate your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, would it, in between when we're doing new witnesses, I'm running out of power, so I need to go plug in, and I don't think we need to take a break. If I'm gone for a sec, that's the explanation.
All right. All right, the next scheduled witness is Mr. Walters on behalf of the Platte-Clay Electrical Cooperative.
Judge, did I hear Mr. Steiner
Platte-Clay calls Mr. Walters.
indicate that the electric company is running out of power?
No, that's not the way I took it, but. All right, Mr. Walters, are you there?
Yes.
All right, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. And Ms. McCord, go ahead with your questions.
Mr. Walters, could you give your full name and your business address for the record, please?
Jared Joseph Walters, Wolters. Business address 1000 West 92 Highway, Kearney, Missouri.
And is that address associated with Platte-Clay Electric Cooperative?
That is correct.
Can you describe what you do for Platte-Clay?
I'm the engineering manager.
And can you give us just a brief overview of your educational background?
Bachelor's degree in electrical engineering.
And how long have you been in that position with Platte-Clay?
About 25 years.
Are you familiar with the application in this case?
I am.
Does Platte-Clay have the ability to serve the address that's requested by the applicant if the Public Service Commission orders, as far as capacity and things like that?
We do.
Okay, what would that entail? I know there's some construction that would be required. Can you give an overview of what that would entail?
Would require line extension, either from the north or south, depending on which direction, obtaining easements, and whether service was requested to be underground or overhead.
And do you have an estimate of how many feet would be required to build to that location? And if not, I understand you haven't done staking sheets, so if not, it's fine.
No, again, it depends on which direction we would come from.
Okay. You've got a line extension policy in place. Can you describe what that would require the applicant to pay for?
Yeah, we do have a line extension policy, and it's based on footage. So depending, again, whether it's overhead or underground, there's different cost, and the cost varies on different distances.
Is there any portion of an extension like this that is paid for by Platte-Clay or not passed on to a new member?
There's no portion that is completely free, but all of the cost is, some of the cost is always shared by the rest of the membership.
And are there any, you mentioned easements. I guess describe any concerns you have about getting easements to serve this location.
Not necessarily any concerns.
It's just it would be required.
Correct.
Okay, we were not using public right-of-way, I assume, in this location.
We would prefer, like if we were bringing it up on the Davis's property, we would request them to provide us with the easement.
Okay, those are all the questions I have for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Turner Davis, do you have any questions for the witness?
No, I can't. No, I think he pretty much knows where we're talking about, because on one of them it would be us giving the easement anyway. I don't have any, no.
All right, thank you. Mr. Steiner, any on behalf of Evergy?
No questions.
And Mr. Irving?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, Judge, I have a question. Commissioner Olsman.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Would there be any burden to your members if the secondary house was added to Evergy's territory and you were to lose that as a customer?
Well, obviously, there would be the burden of, we have some stranded assets involved.
Do you have any idea how much we're talking about?
No.
Do you have any estimate? We heard from Evergy that a quarter mile is included in this change. You said that there's no part that's free, and the members will subsidize some of those changes. Do you have any idea, just from a general perspective, how much? No one has given us any clue as to what it would cost to, let's say it's overhead line for a quarter mile. Any idea what we're talking about? I mean, just to give us a ballpark.
As far as how much?
Just the cost, yeah. The cost to extend service.
For Ms. Davis?
Well, I mean, if you have Ms. Davis's particulars, then yes. But as far as a guest goes, just to give us an idea of what we're talking about, I will take a generality.
Correct. I just wanted to confirm you were requesting to know how much it is for Ms. Davis to pay versus how much the membership would be absorbing.
Yeah, correct.
Which one?
Both. Just give me an idea how much it costs the company, period. And then we'll get into splits in a minute.
Well, I mean, a mile of line is upwards of 60,000.
Okay. So what percentage, so a quarter mile of that 60,000 would be, what, 15,000 would be a quarter mile?
Okay, yeah.
And then what percentage of that would be on the customer versus the membership?
Roughly, yeah, you're probably looking at a quarter mile, depending on whether there's any tree clearing involved. You might be looking at 4,000.
Okay, thank you. That gives us at least some ballpark at what we're looking at. So I appreciate that answer. Judge, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Gerling, I'm sorry, Mr. Walters, can I ask you, first of all, you mentioned rough cost of 60,000, 60, for one line, for 1 mile of line?
Correct.
Okay. And then when you broke it down as to a quarter mile, you mentioned $4,000. That is a rough estimate as to the cost to the customer?
Yeah, to Miss Davis.
Okay. And then the members would be responsible for the remaining 11,000.
Well, the membership as a whole would be sharing in the balance of that cost.
Correct. Okay. All right. Do any of the other commissioners have questions?
I have a question.
All right, just a second, Ms. Turner Davis. I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions here in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Walters, I do have a question. Does, if Ms. Turner Davis were responsible for that roughly $4,000, is there any mechanism whereby she would be credited back on her bills for that amount?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Turner Davis, go ahead with your question.
Well, I've got, actually, it's kind of a two-part. Number one is having Platte-Clay at the rental house already. I am a member of Platte-Clay as well. So what does that do to me as far as you're talking 4,000 and then absorbed by the membership, you're saying? I'm kind of confused on that. Having that I'm already a member and want to add something to a property that I am a member of, does that change the amount of cost that would be incurred?
No, the member who is requesting service, and I understand you're currently a member, but even a member who's requesting a second service, the party requesting it is responsible for what we refer to as our aid to construction, and then the balance of the cost gets absorbed by the other 25,000 members who are on our system.
Okay. And honestly, to me, you're saying for a quarter of a mile, $60,000?
No, that was for a rough estimate for a mile of line was 60,000.
A mile. Okay, so 15
for a quarter.
For a quarter mile?
Yeah.
And that's if there's, okay, and if there's no, there are trees in the way, it should be a straight shot. That doesn't lower the overall cost at all? Or is the cost... Okay, I didn't know if it was determined by the difficulty in hooking it up. Is what I was concerned. I was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, we
You know what I mean? If
come
it's
out
a straight shot or. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, sorry, Ms. Davis. Yes, we would have to come out and stake the job in order to give you an accurate cost.
Okay. 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 That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay. That's my question.
All right, thank you, Ms. Turner Davis. Do any of the other parties have follow-up questions for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
No questions.
All right. Ms. McCord, do you have any redirect for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then, Mr. Walters, I appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay. If it's okay with everyone, let's go ahead and take about a 10-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 12:20. So, going off the record. Mr. Irving, call your first witness on behalf of the staff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff would like to call Broderick Niemeyer at this point.
All right. Mr. Niemeyer, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today in this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Irving.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Niemeyer. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
That would be Broderick Niemeyer, Brodrick, Niemeyer, Niemeier.
Okay. What is your job title?
I am an assistant engineer.
Okay. How long have you worked in that position?
I have worked in this position for a year and 10 months now.
Nice. Okay. Are you the same Broderick Niemeyer who has prepared pre-filed staff recommendation pre-marked as Exhibit 300?
I am.
Okay. At this point, do you have any corrections to make to the staff recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you go ahead and describe what the changes are?
Yes, on the front page under my title, it says Industrial Analysis Division. It should say Industry Analysis Division.
Okay. Do you have any other changes to make to the staff recommendation?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is a staff recommendation true and correct to your best information and belief?
It is.
Your Honor, I would like to admit into the record Mr. Niemeyer's staff recommendation marked as Exhibit 300.
All right. Mr. Irving, and there is a public and a confidential version of that. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do they both total, I believe, 10 pages when you include the memorandum?
Okay.
Actually, I may be off on that. I think 11 pages.
That's correct. I believe it is 11 pages.
All right. Do any of the parties have any objection to the admission of Exhibit 300?
No objection.
All right. Hearing no objections, Exhibit 300 is admitted into evidence.
Okay. All right.
Right. Right. Exhibit 300P for the public version and C for the confidential version, both admitted into evidence.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
I tender the witness for cross-examination at this point.
All right. Ms. Turner Davis, do you have any questions for this witness?
I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'll listen.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Steiner, any questions on behalf of Evergy?
No questions.
And Ms. McCord?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Do the commissioners have any questions for the witness? Yes, Chairman. Roop.
Broderick, is this the first time you've testified?
Yes, it is.
All right, well, it's always great to get your first one under your belt and stuff, so you did a fine job, and welcome to the commission, and appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the commissioners? All right. Okay. Then, Mr. Niemeyer, I believe that will take care of your testimony. Thank you.
My only question would be, what is this analysis? I'm not hearing any explanation. And of course, I don't have it, so
All right. So, Ms. Turner
could I
Davis.
get just an overview?
So, you do, Ms. Turner Davis, have a question for this witness?
My only question is, overview, what is this analysis? I have no idea.
Are you asking about the industry analysis that I was talking about before?
Is that what it is? I was kind of lost on what this particular analysis was. Is it conversations that we've had in the past already?
No, that is the title of the division that I work under.
I guess I'm asking what this 11-page analysis, what does it entail? I don't need word for word, just basically what does this analysis entail?
Apologize, Your Honor. Ms. Turner Davis, this is the information that we filed approximately 3 months ago. It was available to you since several months ago, and it's been presented as an exhibit in this case right now.
Okay, I just needed it clarified. I was not, I was lost. This is all new to me. You're going to have to be just patient with me to understand a little bit about it, so I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Niemeyer, you're excused. Ms. Turner Davis? Are you there?
Yes, I'm back.
All right.
It mutes me when I am off.
Understood. Would you be willing to answer some follow-up questions?
Sure.
All right. And you are still under oath?
Yes.
Okay. I believe Commissioner Hahn, you have questions?
Thank you, Ms. Turner Davis. Just one question. Earlier, it was explained from the Mr. Walters that the total cost for running a line about a quarter mile is $15,000. Normally, $4,000 would be the cost to you as the customer. But if we were to grant the change of supplier and the cost, you had to bear all of the cost of $15,000, is that a request that you would still want granted?
Why would that? I've been a little concerned, or not concerned, curious perhaps, that people, and I understand to some degree because it's a guess, have been hesitant to give me a ballpark figure. And as to your question, and he said 15,000, but he said the cost of the customer would be 4,000. Why are you asking me about the 15,000?
Because I'm curious, if there were no impact to other customers, would you still want, so that if we were to grant this request and we were to try to hold other customers harmless for your request, is it still a request that you would want granted?
And that's something I'm not following, and I'm very naive to what you all do. You talk about harmless to request, and see, to me, logically, a new customer should help the co-op, help Evergy, because that's more money coming in, and I understand that that's not when you're talking new lines and whatever. And my assumption would be, if this were this was granted, that I would have the opportunity to get a real estimate from, either way, Platte-Clay or Evergy, before I made that kind of decision. Am I wrong? Because what I have heard is that, it would have to be basically checked out by either company to see if there were trees to go through or whatever. My assumption would be that a concrete amount I would be required to pay would be given to me after the actual property is checked out. Am I wrong?
Quite frankly, I think if we were to grant the change, I can't be 100% sure on the procedure, but if we grant the change, then that would be final as to who your change in supplier would be, and then you would be responsible for bearing whatever cost that is. And so that's why I'm asking you ahead of time if you don't know the cost, but the estimated cost could be up to $15,000. Is it still something that you would want?
Well, probably not, because I think that's an exorbitant amount of money for a quarter mile. That doesn't seem, and I use the word logical too often, but it doesn't seem like it could possibly be that much. I'd be surprised if it was, because I know what the property looks like, and the two different ways that could come in, there aren't trees in the way. It's pretty much a straight shot, and not a lot of things in the way. $15,000, probably not, because I think that's a ridiculous amount of money for what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Ms. Turner Davis, the co-op's witness, Mr. Walters, testified that if it were a quarter mile of new line, that your portion would be $4,000, and that's a rough estimate. If that was determined to be the amount that you'd be responsible for, would you still want that change of supplier?
Well, that's a more workable amount of money. I guess my question would be to either one of them, would I be required to make that commitment for an amount before either company would check it out and see? I mean, to me, there's going to be there's a concrete cost. The 4,000 is kind of just floating out there. I understand that that's their estimate. I don't have a problem with that. But if it's granted, am I immediately tied into paying that, or do I get to listen to whatever company I would choose tells me it would cost, and then make the decision? I think that's what I'm not following at this point.
Okay. Well, again.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand that you don't want to commit until you know the exact dollar amount.
Right, within reason. It's just you throw out a figure, and if they haven't had eyes on the property, except on a map, I just feel like I'm not gonna the old-fashioned saying, I'm not going to buy a pig in a poke without a little more of a concrete amount.
Okay. But do understand that if the commission grants your request and does switch that structure from Evergy to the co-op, then that, I mean, regardless of the cost, that is what those two entities will be ordered by the commission to do.
Okay. Well, another question I would have is, do they work together? If it's done to where the people in the house, either way, if I went either way, there's not going to be a period of time. I'm assuming the two companies would work together, so the people in either house would not be without power until another one's hooked up. Correct?
Well, of course, I'm not in a position to answer that, but I would assume that would be the case.
Well, that just seems like common sense. That one company's not going to just shut off somebody's power without the other entity ready to go. You know, that's like if it was our house. I don't want you shut it off today at 6 o'clock and I don't have power until the other company gets it hooked up. And I'm sure that's kind of a strange request, but it's just something I have to think about because there are people living in these houses.
Right. Do the other parties have any follow-up questions for Ms. Davis?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right.
No, Your Honor.
Ms. McCord, I have a question for you.
Sure, Your Honor.
All right. If the commission requested an exact estimate, well, that's kind of it's kind of contrary, but if the commission were to ask the co-op to visit the property, provide a formal estimate, and submit that as an exhibit, is that possible?
Sure, Your Honor. I think that that's definitely possible. The way, just for everyone's information, that this normally works is if somebody is requesting service, kind of a rough estimate will be given to the member with the understanding that once final costs are totaled, it will be adjusted and they'll owe whatever that amount is. So we could put together staking sheets and have a rough estimate, whether it's underground, overhead, and which direction's coming into the property, and provide that with the understanding that it wouldn't necessarily be any more firm than the figures Mr. Walters may be already given.
And how long would that take, do you believe?
I believe it could probably be done within a couple of days, Your Honor.
And would that estimate be broken down as to the new customer's share?
We could certainly do that. Sure, we could apply the line extension policy to it.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, at this point, I'll take closing arguments from the parties, assuming there are no rebuttal witnesses to be called.
No, Your Honor, there are no rebuttal witnesses for staff. No. There's no rebuttal witnesses for staff.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I'll save my closing argument for my brief.
All right.
I will as well, Your Honor.
Okay.
Staff will do the same.
All right. Ms. Turner Davis, would you like to give a closing argument?
I really don't know what it would be. And quite honestly, and I, to some degree, apologize to everyone. I had absolutely no idea. I was definitely a babe in the woods who thought I had a molehill to deal with, and it's a mountain. I understand why, and I'm much more well-versed now on procedures. And I respect that because each of the different groups needs to take care of themselves, of course, as do I. No, I would be, my only thing I would say, I like the thought of having a more concrete estimate. I realize I could go either way, because I don't feel like it's fair for me to commit to something when I really don't have a reasonable figure to go by that it would cost. Are we willing to pay a portion? And it'll be a significant portion, I realize. Yes, but I don't want to commit and all the trouble everyone's gone to without, hold on, please, without a little more information on what it would amount to. So if that makes sense, I apologize.
All right, thank you.
I'll call you back.
Could you go ahead and mute Ms. Turner Davis? All right. Mr. Steiner, before we adjourn, I do have a question for you. Similar to my question for Ms. McCord, if the commission were to ask Evergy for an estimate of what the stranded investment would be, were you to lose Ms. Turner Davis as a customer, is that something that you could provide? And if so, how long would that take?
Okay, you said similar to Ms. McCord. I thought you were asking for an estimate to provide service, but you're actually asking for an estimate of stranded investment?
Correct.
I don't know. My witness is gone. He's probably not the person anyway. I'll look into it, and I'm sure we can submit that. I'm sure it's a property record somewhere. I'll have to look. I'm sure the number's out there somewhere.
All right. Thank you. According to the procedural schedule, initial briefs are due by January 19th, reply briefs by February 2nd. Are there any other matters that the parties would like to take up before we adjourn? All right, then I'll adjourn the hearing and we'll go off the record.